Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have not yet met me, my name is Susan Lopresti, and you are listening to the Susan Lopresti Wellness Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. And today, I want to talk to you about how your habits affect your health. So please sit back and relax and let me know how you enjoy this episode. And if you feel that anyone could really benefit from listening to this episode, please kindly share it out with your friends and your family who could benefit. Thank you for listening. Sit back and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Susan Lopresti, and I hope that you're all having a great day so far. And I wanted to come on and talk to you real quick about something that I heard yesterday. I was listening to a health summit, an anti-aging health summit, which basically is what I'm all about. And there was someone who said, and let me just read it to you so I get it right. They said, the state of your health is the state of your habits. And that got me thinking a lot. And it started me going back in time for myself and thinking about how I was in my 20s. And in my 20s, honestly, I was not a real health nut. Well, it's sort of like, actually, I shouldn't say that because it's a little bit of a balance. Because in my 20s, when I started college, I took two gym classes, and one of them was yoga, which was the first time I was ever introduced to yoga. And we had to buy a book about yoga. And the other gym class that I took was modern dance. And those two classes really got me into the idea of working out. As a kid, I swam a lot. I love to swim. I love the water, and I'm Aquarius. So that could be part of the reason. But I really wasn't into sports. We used to play softball in the summertime here and there, but I wasn't on a team. I was never any kind of team sports at all. So it wasn't until my very early 20s that I was introduced to yoga and to modern dance, and I loved both of them. But also in my 20s, I met who is now my ex-husband. And when I first met him, he was into running. He used to run 10 miles a day. He was a boxer. He ate really, really healthy. But somehow, some reason, I haven't never put my finger on it, was when we came together, we lost our good habits and we got into some really bad habits. And so I was smoking cigarettes, I was smoking pot, and unfortunately, I'm not proud to say, but I also did cocaine. And so that was pretty much my life in my 20s. And then when I turned 30, for whatever reason, it clicked that I no longer wanted to do cocaine. I did not like the addictive feeling that it gave me. I did continue to smoke pot. I never really was into alcohol. And I also quit smoking cigarettes, and I took up running. So really, it's starting in my 30s was when I decided that I wanted to get healthy. So I continued with yoga. I continued with modern dance. I used to belong to a dance studio where I lived. It was actually right on the corner of my house. So that was really, really convenient. And then when I got married, um, I was already married at 26, but when I got married, that's when I took up running and starting to eat healthy, and I began juicing, and I've been on this journey ever since. So I'm going to be 63, and listen, I'm not perfect. I have celiac disease, I have Hashimoto's disease, and I also have bronchiectasis, which I either got when I was smoking cigarettes or I want to say when I was 33 or 36, when I was 36, I had pneumonia, and I was pretty sick with pneumonia at 36. So I'm not sure what contributed, or maybe both of those things, smoking cigarettes, smoking pot, and also, pneumonia could have been what resulted in bronchiectasis for me. But, I have friends of mine and people, acquaintances that I know from when I was in my early 20s. And, you see how some of those people who began the path of wellness and good health, how they aged, and also the ramifications for the other group who stayed on that path of really destruction and where they're at in their life. So there is this definite correlation. So if you are listening to this right now and you're in your early 20s or 30s or even your 40s, I want to tell you that what you're doing in these years, in these decades, the earlier decades of your life, are definitely affecting the outcome of your older decades, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. And listen, things can happen. Even healthy people, I've known fitness experts that, were on all social media platforms and talking health and wellness, who have had heart attacks. But most of them did survive, and maybe their survival rate was because they were healthy in other areas of their life. So things happen, unexplained things. People get cancer, who are super healthy. I've known people who had lung cancer that never smoked a cigarette in their life. So you can't explain everything, but my programs are all about being proactive. I want everyone to know that you can reverse a lot of chronic illnesses. You can reverse diabetes. You can reverse heart disease, high blood pressure, things like that. But why get to the point where you need to reverse them? I really want you to be proactive in not getting them in the first place. That's the most ideal thing that you could do. And, you may bump into people that you went to high school with or college with. And when you walk away, if you haven't seen them in 20 or 30 years, when you walk away, you're either going to say, wow, that person aged really well. They look great. Or you're going to say the opposite, that they really, have aged over the years. And you may be curious, like, why is that? And if you knew anything about their lifestyle, you may be able to make that correlation. Well, they don't really look well because, they didn't take care of themselves. But I also want you to know that good health is not just about how you're eating and if you're working out. There's so many other factors that come into play when, can be considered healthy. So how is your financial health, right? Are you, you don't have to be financially independent, but are you financially secure? Are you struggling week to week, or are you able to make your bills and put money aside for a rainy day and do some things that are of enjoyment to you? So are you able to have that financial security? How about family and friends? Do you have great relationships with your family and your friends and your significant other and your children? Or are those relationships strained? And do they drain you when you're around, let's say, your siblings or your parents or your extended family? Are they draining? Or do you enjoy being with them? Do they lift you up? Do they make you feel good? Do you talk about wonderful memories? Or are you bickering about, whatever the nonsense is that families bicker about? What about your sense of purpose? Are you in a career that you absolutely love, that you thrive in, that you're happy about? Or are you in a career where you're making money, but you don't like the people that you work for and you don't like the job that you're doing, but you stay in the career or you stay in that company or that spot because of the money, and yet you're sacrificing so much of your happiness. So that's part of your health and wellness journey. What about a spiritual practice? Now, you don't need to be going to church every Sunday. That in itself doesn't make you a good person, or synagogue, or whatever other house of worship that you may go to. Just because you're doing that doesn't mean that you're a good person and, you're spiritual. There are other people that never step foot into any kind of spiritual house, but yet they're very spiritual and they're very happy and they're very content and they have wonderful aspects of their life. So what kind of spiritual practice do you have? And does that practice resonate with you? Or is it something that you've been doing because that's what you grew up with and that's what you know in your family and in your community? But does it mean something to you? Right? That's another area of life. What else? Also cooking. And cooking, honestly, I don't really like to cook. It's not for me. But making foods that are healthy is a wonderful thing, because if you go out to a restaurant, you could order a healthy meal. Like when I go to a restaurant, like last night we went out to dinner and I ordered salmon and spinach. But you don't know the oils that they're cooking these foods in. And, you also don't know the energy of the chef. I mean, my food was delicious, but there's energy that comes from that chef when they're cooking this food. And is it, an energy of loving their job and putting their, heart and soul into this meal? Or is there animosity and difficulty in the kitchen and stuff like that, where there's negativity? Because that affects your food. So when you're cooking for yourself and your family, and you're doing it from a place of love and nourishment, that changes the energy of that food, especially if that food is live food and it's not processed foods, because processed foods are dead foods. And you're not going to be delivering that from a can of peas, let's say. You're not going to get that. But from fresh foods, fresh whole foods, they do have energy, and we have energy. And is that energy attracting the same thing, or is one negative and one positive? So you want positivity for that meal that you're cooking, and you're only going to truly get that is if you're cooking the meal yourself, because you know what you're putting in. And when you're cooking for your family and loved ones, 9 times out of 10, you're cooking from a place of love, and that's huge. So again, we're talking about relationships. That's another area, right? I said about family and people that you get together with. That uplifts you or brings you down or stresses you out. And if you're stressed in your job and if you're stressed in your relationships, stress brings on inflammation. And inflammation creates disease. And over time, you will develop chronic illnesses from stress and inflammation. So, what are you doing for yourself to lower that stress, lower that inflammation? So, another thing that I want to talk about is mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is so important for you to be aware of what you're doing at the moment that you're doing it, and to appreciate everything that you're doing and put your heart and your soul into everything. When you're having a conversation with someone, don't be thinking about what you have to do when you're done with this conversation. Fully engage in that conversation. Feel the energy between the two of you. All of this is uplifting and helps you to be in the present moment and to be grateful for each present moment that you have. So these are just some of the things that I talk about on this platform, in my podcast, on YouTube. And I want you to start thinking big picture, right? So it's not just the food on your plate and working out. Certainly, that's a very large component of good health, but you need to look at other areas of your life as well, because they all come together to create health and wellness. And the earlier that you start on this journey, the better off you're going to be. And take it from me, who's already in her 60s, who grew up with people, and the people that changed their lifestyle and got healthy and well look great for their age, and they're thriving and they're happy. And that means financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, career-wise, their sense of purpose. Are they doing what they feel they were brought here to do? All of those areas of your life are uplifting you. And if you're lacking in some of those areas, you need to pay attention to that. You need to get yourself on board with what you're going to do to change it. And that's honestly where a health coach can come in for you, to say, yes, I need help. I need direction. I need to bounce these ideas off of someone who's, objective in this area with me. And that's a health coach's responsibility. So think about this. Think about the people that you run into in stores or on the street that you haven't seen for a while. How do they look? How are they projecting themselves to you? Are they like happy and exuberant, or are they, all right, life sucks, it's this, it's that? That says everything to where they are, where they've been, and quite honestly, where they're going. And those people will drag you down. So you want to be with people that are uplifting and like-minded like you, and are always looking to improve your health, improve what you're doing, read more, learn more, do more, make new friends, start new trends, learn new things, start new sports, get involved. And so that's what my health coaching programs are all about. That's what I'm all about. That's what my podcast is all about. So please make sure to continue to follow me here, follow me on my podcast, follow me on Instagram and all my social media platforms. And I will put that all in the show notes today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I want you to think very strongly about what I said. Start practicing good health and wellness today. It will make a difference as you're aging. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Take good care. If you've been enjoying my podcast, I hope you're getting to know me better and to know my style of coaching and inspiring women. And that really is the purpose of this podcast. It's to teach and inspire women in midlife and older to know that better health is achievable with the help and guidance from someone who's been where you are and has been able to overcome those symptoms to feel better now in my 60s than I ever did in my 40s. I'm offering a free 30-minute health assessment to any woman on here listening who is not happy with how they look and they feel. You could set up the call with the link. I'll put it in the show notes. Schedule this call with me, but you are under no obligation to continue any further. If after speaking, you and I feel that we are a good fit for each other and you do want to proceed with private health coaching, I am offering a 12-week program that will get you well on your way to achieving optimal wellness. So let's do that 30-minute call. You have nothing to lose.